Hi there, I'm Jenny Tomes. This little lesson is presented by Port St. Lucie Utility Systems, connected to the community since 1994. Our question today is, what is the water cycle? So the water cycle just refers to water that goes around in a circle. That's what cycle means. It just goes around and around and around again and again and again in a circle. So all the water that's on our planet Earth is the same water that's been here for billions, literally billions of years, about 5 billion years. So even when the dinosaurs were walking around about 65 million years ago, they were drinking the same water that we're drinking today. So here we are today, the same water that's been on the planet for all of those years, because it goes in a cycle or in a circle. Now, what's important to know is that sometimes people use water quicker than it can replenish itself in the water cycle, okay? I talk a lot about water conservation and saving water and how important it is to make sure that we're not using too much of it. Because although that water's never going away, really it's the same water that we use again and again and again. If you use it too quickly, you don't have enough time for it to make its way back through the water cycle. Or if it's polluted, if there's litter in it, then you can't use it at all. So you want to make sure that you're protecting those freshwater and the saltwater resources. You want to make sure you're protecting all kinds of water, all the bodies of water. And you want to make sure that you're not wasting fresh water. You might remember there's only about 1% of fresh water that we can actually access. That's why it's so important that we take care of it and we conserve it or save it. We're not wasting it, okay? All right, let's get into the water cycle. So one of the major parts of the water cycle is actually not water, it's the sun. So let me draw a sun up here. Big sun, nice big sun. It's nice and hot. All right, got some rays coming down. All right, so there's our sun. That's our solar energy. So solar energy just means that that sun is hot. So when it beats down on Earth, when it beats down on the water, let me draw some water here. It's my little ocean. All right, so we've got our ocean here. Draw some waves. There we go. Okay, so when that sun beats down on the water, it heats it up, and water actually rises up into the air. So we boiled water on the stove in a previous little lesson. You may remember that when I took the lid off, my glasses fogged up, I got a facial from all the steam coming out. So when you heat up water, it actually rises up into the air. Now, you can't really see what's called evaporation, but you may be able to feel it when you go outside and it's really hot and humid. So let me draw that water vapor rising up into the air, okay? All right, so that's evaporation. A lot of shun words in the water cycle. So let's get to the next one. All right, so next I'm going to draw a little piece of land right here. I'm going to draw a little tree. There we go. How about a bush? Draw some flowers. Okay. All right, so there we have some plants. So if you look outside, anything that's green actually releases water vapor up into the air as well. So plants are very generous. So if they get all the water they need, whatever they don't need for themselves, they release it up into the air, up into the atmosphere. Another shun word, transpiration. So transpiration refers to all the water vapor that plants, trees, bushes, grass, all the green stuff outside, that releases up into the air. So I'm going to draw some of that too, right? All right, so then that releases that. So when you have all that water vapor up in the air, and as it cools, the water vapor actually condenses into a cloud. My cloud kind of looks like my tree. All right, there's my cloud. Let's color that in. All right, so there's my cloud. Oh, let me draw some down here so you can see it better too. We got a lot of cloud. Very cloudy in the sky today. Very cloudy. All right, so there's all the clouds. Okay. All right, so that's all that water vapor that's come from the evaporation, because the sun heats up the water, and then the trees and the bushes and the leaves, all that green stuff outside releases water vapor up into the air, and all that water vapor condenses as it rises and cools and forms a cloud. So that's condensation. So when the clouds get really heavy, you can tell a storm's rolling in, right? Those clouds get dark and gray. So what happens is all that water vapor latches on to whatever dust particles are in the air, and then you get, let's get my blue, then you get rain. Then you get what's called, another shun word, precipitation. So now we have rain. So what's happening is that rain is filling up our oceans again and all the water bodies that are on the surface. But what's also happening, let me draw some ground here. And we'll put some grass so you know what it is. Grass, 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 grass. Okay, so it's also raining down on the grass. So it waters the grass, but what happens is that water sinks down into the ground. Now this is my favorite shun word, percolation. So percolation refers to that rainwater that's sinking down into the ground. And if you remember from a previous little lesson where our water in Port St. Lucie comes from, anybody remember? It comes from actually underground. It comes from those underground aquifers that we talked about. So let me draw some groundwater down in here. And remember, there's some rocks, a bunch of sand. You have to work really hard to get that water up out of the ground. But this is how that groundwater is replenished. This is how our groundwater fills back up again because of all this rain raining down on it, okay? So then it just goes round and around in a circle. So that's why it's called the water cycle, right? The sun is going to continue to beat down. It's going to continue to heat up that water and have it rise up into the air. The trees and the bushes are going to continue to release that water vapor. It's going to condense. It's going to form a cloud. The cloud is going to get heavy. It's going to rain. It's going to percolate. Oh my gosh, it just keeps going on and on and on. So that's the water cycle. So I have these wonderful, I have these wonderful cards here that talk about the water cycle to show you better pictures of what I just drew here. But what's really cool is on the back, you can make your own water cycle wristband. Okay, so you can get a little bag and all the different colored beads represent all the different parts of the water cycle. So the yellow bead represents the sun, the green bead represents transpiration, all the trees and the bushes out there, and the white bead represents the clouds, the clear bead, evaporation, all that good stuff. So if you want one of these, see, and then it comes with the bag, get your own string too, and you can thread those beads right on that bracelet, right? Just like I'm wearing here. So if you want one of these for your class, if you want one for your homeschool group, if you are learning at home virtually and you want one, if you want to make one, just send me an email at jtomes@cityofpsl.com. I have lots of these. I'll make sure that we get them to you. So wherever you're learning from, you can be part of our little bracelet buddy club here, okay? And it's a wristband because your wrist is circular, right? And the band goes around it just to remind you that that water cycle is never ending. It just goes around and around and around in a circle. All right, so one more time, if you want one of these water cycle bracelets, let me know. Send me an email at jtomes@cityofpsl.com. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.